Pinterest is always inspiring me to get a little crafty, and when I stumbled onto these vintage wooden spool pieces, I had to create some inspired pieces to share with you. Lucky for me, I collect items like this. The more vintagey, the better. However, they can get a little expensive. So if you want to recreate items like this, you can find newer, budget-friendly ones, perfect for crafting, right on Amazon. First up, let's not make these any more complicated than they need to be, and do just like our inspiration. These got like a little stamp or something on the top. I figure let's take some of my TDS dry rub on transfers and a little script section and plop right on the top. Now, I don't want to take the value off of these at all and seal over them. You're welcome to. I don't want to. So I'm just going to place these over top. They're easy to sand right off if you ever want to take the transfers off. Then I'm going to take some ribbon that I have in my stash and just loop it around these without any glue. To make sure that they stay in place, I'm gonna go into my stash here and grab some of these little bits I was sent from a subscriber a couple years ago. I've managed to hold on to all this fabric for quite some time. And I grabbed some colors that made sense for what I picked with the ribbon, tied them together. So cute. How flippin' adorable, right? And then finish these off with whatever type of florals you would like. Super simple, and these will add to any little vintage area you have going on, or take the idea and remix it and make it as modern or as farmhouse or whatever as you would like. For this set, I wanted to use a pair that already had a little bit of character built in. We're going to take these and turn them into little photo holders. I was recently on Whatnot and seen the crafting cousins making these little photo holders out of doorknobs. And I got the idea to do the same thing, just using these wooden spools. So I grabbed some of my manipulatable wire you see me messing with right here and figured out a size that made sense, because we're going to need to bend this on up. If you don't want to use this stuff, another idea would be to take some paper clips. That would probably work well too. Did decide to measure it for y'all so you can see that they're about 8 inches in size for anyone that wants to do this at home. And then I grabbed my needle nose pliers. Again, there's different ways you could do this, but I was going for the wonky. I wanted this to look really cool looking, so I made these weird circles that were very odd shaped and easy to move in and out. So as you're putting something in them, if you want to squeeze them together a little bit to hold the picture, you don't have a problem doing that. Obviously, use your needle nose pliers and your wire to create whatever shape works best for you. On the opposite end, I just bent it straight up. This is the part that we're going to stick down inside of the little wooden spool piece. And I used the needle nose pliers to scrunch that together, so this way it fit on down in there. Then I just did the same thing to create one for the other piece. Absolutely use some regular photos. I'm going to use these little decorative pieces right here. I believe I got these from Temu at one point. Grab 2 that match the colors on our little wooden spools and plop them right in here. They make perfect little decorative accents, a little steampunky going on. Obviously, use these to match whatever decor you have going on in your home. Love how these turned out. What do you think? I was really excited about turning large wooden spools into candle holders. No, it's not time for Christmas. That's the Pinterest inspiration. You're being unreasonable. We're going into March, okay? First, we're gonna need a large wooden spool, okay, with a big hole in the top. Now, this was a little wonky, so we're gonna bring on in the little finger sander And yes, I have been requested to give this little guy an intro. Welcome. This is his first one. Okay. Bring it on in the finger sander now. I used that to shave down its bootay. So this way it sat flat. It definitely wasn't. It was like poking out or something. Yeah, that didn't sound right. Anyhow, I didn't want to glue anything down to this piece, so I grabbed some twine and cut off a couple feet. Then I took some lace that I had in my stash. I got this a couple weeks back from Goodwill and just been ripping little pieces off. It matches the color of the Dollar Tree candle perfectly, and the Dollar Tree candle fits in here perfectly. Anyone wondering, this is a napkin I decoupaged onto that. I did that some videos ago. I'm not even sure which video it is. Don't quote me on it. Help me in the comments, moderators, if you see anybody asking if y'all know what video it is. So I'm going to use this lace to kind of keep that color balance, and I'm using the twine to hold everything together, so this way we don't have to glue anything down. And adding a little piece of greenery for a touch of something else in here. And I love how this little piece came together. I've been trying to expand my floral capabilities in the DIY world, so when I stumbled upon these on Pinterest, I thought we could remake these using some TDS rice paper pretty easily. And some florals and greenery, of course. Absolutely use whatever works best for you. This is what I wanted to roll on with. And I'm going to be using some of this glue tape that I have to attach the TDS rice paper together. I ended up using 3 pieces for this. If you would like to use just a large piece of tissue paper, there's so many different ways you could do this. Newspaper would look cool too. And fold everything in. Now, I took a second making sure that that glue tape was all in place as I wrapped it up, so this way everything stuck together, and then just grabbed some twine, wrapped it around, and put a little bow on here. You can do so many different things with this idea. I decided to just style it on up with a Dollar Tree basket and some vintage pieces I had in my stash. There really is no limit to the amount of scrapwood photo holder ideas on Pinterest. I'm going to share my own creative take on this using 2 2x6s to make a matching set. I'm going to keep it nice and simple with the stain. I'm going to use some antique Waverly wax, and I want to share a couple of my favorite tips here whenever I'm doing something like this. First of all, you need a spray bottle and a lot of spritzy spritzes, okay? You could use a baby wipe, absolutely. I am out of them, so in a pinch, I just grab some paper towels, okay? And then wipe all that antique wax all over the whole piece. I like to keep my wood rustic and I don't sand down the sides. And I've had, some people in the comments like, oh, it's easier if you just sand on the sides. I don't like to, okay? I like mine rustic. So to make it easy to paint, I lather it up with water until it looks like this, okay? Because it is not finished. It is very rough. And when you have that much water pooling in there, You can take the antique wax on a paintbrush and spray more water on that sucker. And I did not speed this up because I wanted you to see how easy this is if it's nice and saturated. Any rundown on the side, you just pull on down with the paintbrush. It blends right in, and literally in like a minute, you're completely done. And you don't waste any extra product trying to get it in that rough edge. This is perfect for those of you rustic lovers like me. Now we're going to need to mix up a batch of my homemade texture paste, and we're going to be using Mod Podge as the glue for this. And before we can pour it in there, we need to shake that sucker up and make sure there's no Mod Podge boogers that are going to... I hate dealing with that. Now, people, I do not measure this. I mix with love. But today, for you, I took 1/4 cup of calcium carbonate and 1/4 cup, okay, of baking soda. And it was 2 little containers like that from Dollar Tree of Mod Podge. That's what it took to make the mixture, okay? When you see that the bits start actually forming together, I then grab one of my little palette knives and then put it in a container. This will hold for about 3 to 5 days for anyone interested, okay? Making this at home. Love having this stuff on hand. And we're going to grab a TDS stencil. Now, I designed these stencils so that way they could intertwine with each other. So I did take 2 different ones here, and I'm going to show you how you can overlay them without messing up the previous stencil. So first, I just took a second, like finding the space, and then I put our texture paste right over top of our stencil and pulled this piece up. I set this to the side to dry because you don't want to put the next stencil right on top of a wet stencil. So I let that to the side to dry and then carried on our other little wood piece. Now for this one, I'm just going to be using one whole complete stencil. I'm not going to be attaching anything additional onto it, and I'm completely content with that design. When your original stencil is dry to the touch, and all you have to do is tappity tap, make sure it's not, imprinting your finger, you're ready to overlay the next piece. The cool thing about these TDS stencils is that they were designed to be able to create as intricate of a design as you would like. So you don't just have to use the one stencil design, you can take other pieces of the design and make a really large stencil or add them onto the stencils that are already included in the sets. So you can get as creative as you want with these. If you don't want to use these, no worries. You can get stencils off Amazon, they have stencils at Walmart. Use whatever you would like. Take the idea, remix it, and make something you love. I fell in love with these little bingo floral centerpieces that I found on Pinterest. And I knew we could remake these using some TDS Decoupage tissue paper that is called bingo cards. Now, if you don't want to use this tissue paper, you could use regular bingo cards or take the idea, remix it, and use whatever you would like. But I'm going to be using this for my projects. And some Dollar Tree mason jars. One of each size, of course. I'm gonna paint both of these white. Now, depending on what paint you want to use, it's entirely up to you. I'm constantly asked, Brandy, what's the best base paints for glass? Here are my 3 go-tos I usually keep in my stash, and I rotate depending on my mood. And for this project, I'm just gonna use the Waverly white chalk paints, and I'm out of pouncers, so I'm winging it here with just a kitchen sponge. I like to pounce my first layer of paint on, and then I'll go back over with a brush if I want a smoother look, which is what I did for this project. And it took 3 coats of paint. I trimmed down the tissue paper pieces that I wanted to use, and I'm going to be using one of my TDS artist brushes for the application. Use whatever you would like. This is going to be our medium of choice today. I've been messing around with this stuff, and I gotta tell you, Other than its little stinky smell, I actually like using this, and I actually like its finish. I've been testing this in the background. One thing y'all might never know about me is I got stuff going on behind the scenes, little experiments, because I get asked so many questions, and I always want to offer good advice as well as any budget-friendly advice I can to help y'all save money, okay? In this day and age, anybody seen these egg prices? Lord, holler at your girl if you're in PA and you got some eggs. Anyhow, I've been using this stuff for a month now, running little experiments in the background, and I hope to have some more good information soon. But right now, I'm just enjoying using it. It's really application friendly. I really enjoy being able to spray the back of my rice paper or the tissue paper with the water and then put the piece on down with this stuff. It doesn't dry up too quickly, and it's just tacky enough that it grabs it. It's not overly tacky like Mod Podge, and that's one of the things I really like about Mod Podge is how tacky it is. This is just a little bit less tacky. Now you're going to notice here this doesn't go on the way I like, so I'm able to gingerly pull it back up, not messing up the tissue paper, and then place it back down exactly where I would like it. You're welcome to use cling wrap or whatever to put this down into place. Usually if I'm ginger with it, I can just use my fingers and it will attach pretty flawlessly. I tore the extra pieces off that I didn't want on here, and then I went over top of the glass piece with some more of that folk art medium. I decided to pop a little bit of twine right around the top of each one of the jars. On the small one, I did add a little bow. If you're looking for more Pinterest inspiration, check out this video right here. And as always, people, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. And until next time, bye!